It's the day that I've been waiting for, and hopefully some of you as well, but mostly for me, because I'm really excited to share my idea and kind of see your guys' thoughts. I really just love hearing everyone's opinions on stuff, especially things I like, I'm passionate about. A little bit different. Today's definitely gonna be a slightly longer video, and I am not holding my phone because I use my hands a lot when I explain things. I apologize, I guess. But yeah, so today I kind of wanted to explain a story idea that I had. I got a lot of positive feedback with this idea, and I'm just so excited to do it. So thank you guys. But essentially the idea kind of came back to, I really love a lot of first person works. I love reading them. I love, hearing about them. So I always like to write in first person or third person omniscient, or not third person, not omniscient, limited. It's third person limited. Totally like personal preference. What I wanted to write is a story based out of first person, and it follows a government worker who's worked for like the FBI, CIA. I wasn't going to get into like specifically what branch or exactly what he did, but secret agent style stuff. And I was going to liken it kind of to like Men in Black, if anyone gets that reference, where like everyone kind of knows they exist, but as something else. I really just kind of like this idea. And I already wrote kind of like the first part of it, but the long story short is these parasites were going to come down and slowly like take over humans. And so you're going to follow this guy kind of through a meeting as he's being explained, about these parasites. And it's going to be, he's going to be kind of like dragged along on a line, right? Like he's not going to know exactly what they're talking about at first. He's going to, show up late to the meeting. He's going to have had a rough night and stuff. And so this whole time it's talking about these parasites and slowly leading up to this idea that, he's going to have, at least at the very beginning, he's going to think that, oh, this is what happened to me. And this is where, I wrote the first part, but I can't write much longer than that. It's because I struggle, with my, current ability of writing. Is what I wanted to do is write the whole book where, it shows him as this parasite, where he seems to be, he's not hungry, he doesn't need food quite as much, kind of like the parasites, but he still eats because he doesn't want to look unnatural. Now, the truth is, it's just, he was sickly in the beginning, so he didn't feel like he wanted food, and then he got into a habit of needing less food. So it's, it's like a natural thing. These parasites can be, more physically fit and all this kind of stuff. Now, they're going to do it to an extreme. Now, he does get more physically fit, but again, it's just because he's being naturally healthier and all this kind of stuff. And, I was going to put in like little key parts where it's like, it tries to show how similar he is to the parasites. But again, kind of string him along, and at the very end, all the readers, after reading it, find out that he never had a parasite to begin with, right? And I feel like that's very difficult to kind of do. And maybe not, like maybe I'm overcomplicating it in my mind, but I didn't feel like I had the current like writing capacity to be able to do that in a way that expressed my ideas, right? And that's kind of why I'm still sharing the idea. I still think it's really cool. And I'd love to kind of have you guys' thoughts or opinions, or if somebody else has written something similar to this, I'd really like to read that, right? Because I feel like I've read things that are similar, right? A lot of stories, share, components here and there. But that was kind of the overall of my idea is, with, it doesn't have to be parasites per se. I always liked the idea of parasites, kind of otherworldly, not really fantasy. I wanted to be more like sci-fi, like these are biological creatures that have an explanation, and not dig too deeply into it, and something that, they use the human hosts, and the human hosts, slightly change over time to better fit these parasites, which give the, explanation as to why there is these changes occurring, and it's just to protect, the parasite. But I needed all these changes to be like believable enough that a human, like, me or you, or I think I'm talking to humans, but, an average person essentially could emulate some of these changes, right? So like as the parasite changed, they were going to lose slight bits of empathy and stuff like that, because the parasite is slowly changing the host to not connect with humans as much, right? And so he was going to go through a similar phase. However, it's not something like, oh, because this parasite's changing. It's going to be like as he's seeing more and more stuff because of these parasites, he's being exposed to things he hasn't seen before, which is causing the change, right? So so this is just a brief kind of overview of everything that, this idea, this overarching idea of, trying to draw this reader in with this idea of, almost like a clickbait of, oh, he's a parasite, what does he do now? And throughout the whole thing, you know, going along with this idea of, you know, he's a parasite, and he you know, he's trying to struggle, and it's like the excitement of like, oh, he's trying not to get caught, and he's doing so much to try and appear more human. And as he tries to appear more and more human, more and more people are like, oh, he's acting kind of strange, you know. And as the book goes on, you know, you can see the rising suspicion. And at the end, when they like test him, they're like, no, you got to do it. And he's super scared. He's trying to get out of it. Everyone's like, you know, forcing him into it. And then at the end, it's like, oh, you're not a parasite. And it's like, why are we acting so weird? And now he's having like this whole kind of issue where it's like, you know, and I wanted to end it with some like, you know, one-liners. I feel like books that end with one-liners or start with beautiful one-liners are awesome. But some kind of one-liner of it's like, you know, what really is humanity? You know what I mean? Something that makes, you know, you kind of think about it. But yeah, so that's kind of just a brief overview of my, you know, my thoughts. I'd love to hear all of your guys' thoughts on, you know, kind of making it into a book. Like I said, I kind of wrote the first like short story part of it of just before he found out that he was he found out he's a parasite, right? But again, thank you guys so much for listening. I'd love to do a whole bunch more of these. I have all these ideas I'd love to share. And the idea of writing a novel for each of them will probably take me longer than I'm going to be alive. Maybe not, but we'll see. But again, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. I'm really, you know, interested in doing more of these, so I'd love to try something like that. You guys have a wonderful day, a wonderful week, a wonderful life, and I, you know, thank you guys so much.